Hey, I'm Hannah Kissel and welcome. I'm so happy that you're here so I can tell you a bit more about my amazing program, the Life and Work Transformation, which is a program that's built for high performers in tech to find career clarity, build fulfilling for careers, show up with confidence, and also set healthy boundaries for good. So, before I go into my program, I wanted to say a little bit about me. If you've never experienced me before, hey, welcome. What's up? I'm Hannah. I'm from LA. I live in Australia. I have a very strong LA accent that hasn't gone away, even though I've lived overseas for 10 years. But before I started my coaching business, I worked for LinkedIn for 7 years, both in New York and in Sydney. I was always a high performer. Like I was at President's Club. I was selected for every high performance initiative, blah, 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 sold millions and millions and millions in software. But despite all of that, I had really low self esteem. I constantly thought that if I closed deals, if I got promoted, if I got more stocks, I would feel better about myself. But then it was always just like chasing on to the next thing and on to the next thing. And I started developing physical signs of burnout. So when I started managing a team and leading a team, burnout started showing up and creeping in. And I had a doctor say to me, this is actually really serious. And if you don't stop working, there's a chance that you might never be able to work again. And I love working. Work has always been a huge part of my life. And that was the wake up call that I needed to hear, that I really understood that if I didn't change something about my life, that I would have serious precautions or serious consequences. So I resigned from LinkedIn. I went on an Eat, Pray, Love journey, but it was in COVID. So I was like blocked in the country. And I went through a life coaching training of Martha Beck. I never thought I would be a fucking life coach, but here we are. I went through life coach training. I got my master's in creative writing. And I realized that I loved working with people and I loved helping them build fulfilling lives and careers. That was definitely my favorite part of what I did when I was in managing, like working closely with individuals on what I thought really mattered. And so I built an entire business around this, and I love working with high performers, and my mission is to really work with high performers to help them build self-esteem and confidence so they can realize their fullest potential. And what that means is not staying in lives and careers that just look good but don't feel good. And how do we get into careers that really feel as good as they look? So, if I look at the challenges right now that high performers are facing, especially in tech or in corporate environments, I see three things. So you might be feeling really successful and your career might be looking really good, but you have golden handcuffs. You just think, I get paid really well, but I don't really like it. I'm like good at it, but it doesn't really match my interests. Maybe you're in a management position and you want to go back to being an individual contributor. Maybe you want to run a yoga studio. Maybe you want to launch a jewelry line, whatever it is, but you just know that it's not this. So career stagnation, but feeling like stuck. Second one is burnout. So feeling like, maybe you've even been diagnosed with burnout, but it's just relentless, your job, it's always on to the next, but you setting boundaries feels really impossible. So you constantly put everyone else before yourself, and that could be your teammates, that could be your family, that could be your children, and you get the drugs and you're like a ping pong ball. Like think of like a foosball table. Like you're constantly have plans, your social calendar is so full, but you're actually just exhausted. And the third thing is overthinking, overworking, and second guessing everything. So like constant self-doubt. You just don't show up with confidence. You might have a perfectionist part of you that's really intense. You might have a procrastinator part that's really intense, or a super harsh inner critic, but your relationship with yourself isn't really good, and you're hypercritical and think that nothing you ever do is good enough, even though people are constantly telling you that you're doing great. Now, here's the hard truth, and that's, the self-help, the podcasts, even though I do have a podcast, it's Big Fucking Dreams, go listen to it. They won't make you feel whole unless you address the real part of you that's keeping you stuck. So you need to address, the part of you that really thinks that you won't be enough. And the part of you that's kind of always reaching externally and thinking that, career, promotion, stock options, whatever it is, that's going to save you, but then you feel really empty inside. So that's actually why I built the Life and Work Transformation. So the life and work transformation, I have a 7-step method, and this method is bulletproof. I've taken so many people through it, and it's to help them find joy in their life and career. So really the intention is to shape a career that you really like. How do you show up with confidence, and how do you set and maintain boundaries? So phase 1 is ending self-sabotage, and that's looking at, what are the parts of you that we spoke about before. So like the parts of you that are your inner critic, the parts of you that tell you that you're never good enough, or the parts of you that are really perfectionist. How do we map those out, soothe those, and really walk and move them forward so that you can have the career and life that you want? Then it's defining your ideal life, because first what tends to happen is that people start getting successful, and then you might just have taken the next promotion or on to the next thing without really thinking, what do I want? Not what does my sister want, not what does my father want, not what does like Billy from HR think I should do, but what do I really want? So how do we define that ideal life, make a map of it? Then it's understanding what are your specific values, what is your purpose, really looking at how is it that you want to behave in the world, how is it that you want to act in the world. And then phase 4 is conscious career design. So once we've understood your values and purpose, how do we design a career from that place where it looks at your talents and your interests? So it's not just doing things because you can, or doing things just because you're good at them, because I'm guessing if you're watching this video, you're a highly competent person already, but it's doing things that really light you up and will fulfill you. Then it's looking at defining your non-negotiables. So that could be around salary, that could be around health and fitness, that could be around, working out. So it's really, what is your non-negotiable to live a healthy and happy life? And we look at that on multiple levels. So we look at that physically, we look at that mentally, we look at that spiritually, we look at that relationally. But how do we design a life that feels really good to you? So it's a very holistic method. And then phases 6 and 7 is how to set boundaries without feeling like a bitch, and learning how to communicate your needs with nonviolent communication. So this method, I've seen so many client results through this. I've seen people really transform their career and their lives. My client Becca, when she first came to me, she was feeling super burned out. She was working 80 hours a week, off until 2 a.m. She felt so much guilt when she wasn't working, and she was just in an extremely high pressure job. She was the head of investor relations at the time. We then mapped her ideal life, and we looked at her values, and she really realized that she wanted to spend more time with her dog. She wanted to spend more time. She was a very healthy person, but she couldn't really live that way. And she actually decided that she didn't want to be in her role anymore. So after going through the life and work transformation, she quit her job. She hiked Patagonia. She traveled the world. Her Instagram looked like a National Geographic feed. She met a hot Italian man. She was just like out there, eat, pray, loving it up. And then she came back to Sydney and found a career that really suited her needs. She found something that was really a good fit for her, but that had been shaped by her values. So it was because we really mapped out her ideal life and career that she was able to live in it, rather than just kind of flinging shit at a wall and hoping that it works. Then my beautiful client, Tracy, when she came to me, she was working in the tech industry for a very long time. She had faced a redundancy. She was post-divorce, went through a lot of self-doubt, felt like even though she was a 4-time club winner or something crazy like that, she just felt really low confidence. So with Tracy, we worked on getting her confidence back. It was like, how do we get her to be confident at work? She also wanted to create really clear boundaries between work and home. She was just working all the time. Her laptop was always out. She didn't really have a distinction between her work life and her home life. So a lot of it was defining those non-negotiables and defining what her ideal life looked like. Then after the life and work transformation, even toward the end, her performance started skyrocketing. She felt more confident. She felt more free. She was saying no to people. Her relationship with her ex-husband got better. She was getting positive feedback at work. She was closing larger deals. And all of the confidence and self-doubt started to really dissipate when we worked on soothing those inner parts of her, and also creating some division between work and home. So this program is really, it's not for everyone. And some people do come into the program that aren't really a good fit. So who this program is for: this is for if you're a senior individual contributor, let's say you're in enterprise sales, or you're a senior IC of any sort, or you're a leader, whether that's, I've had people from management up to VP level in the program, and you're performing at a very high level, but you're experiencing exhaustion, you're experiencing burnout or people pleasing and career stagnation. You know that this isn't the right place for you, but you don't really know how to get there. You're ready for action and change, and you want something different in your life, and you're willing to invest in that. And you also want to be in a community with other high performers who are there to support you, who are investing in themselves. And I just want to take a few steps back as well, that let's address why most high performers struggle. So usually it's because of a few reasons. And I've coached people for so many years now that now I really understand and have a very rich data set of why people are unhappy. And it's because when you build a life on someone else's dreams or you're constantly chasing validation, it's not necessarily true to who you are. So how do we build a life for you that's more intentional? You realize that maybe promotions won't make you happy. A lot of times when clients first come to me, or even when I'm interviewing them for this program, they'll say, I just got a promotion. I feel really empty. I just got a lot of stock. I just closed a huge deal. I feel empty inside. So it's the feeling that these external things aren't feeling really good anymore. Oftentimes they will have, a harsh relationship with themselves. So super harsh inner critic, procrastinator, perfectionist, and also the golden handcuffs keep you stagnant. So the golden handcuffs are there, and although you get paid really well and compensated really well, it's not really right for you. Then another sign is just putting everyone before themselves. So putting your team before yourself, putting your family before yourself, and you just having nothing left for you, where you don't really even know what your hobbies and interests are. You don't really know what you like because everything else has come first. So how do we redefine that? And then really thinking that external validation will make you worthy. And how do we uncouple that and really look at building that self-esteem from the inside out? So how this program actually works. So this is a unbelievably beautiful program that I absolutely love running. And it's 20 group coaching sessions with me. So your cohort will be starting at a certain time. That time will repeat every week. I host all the calls on Zoom. And you will be getting, 20 plus exercises on values, on clarity, and those on boundaries, on purpose. And those exercises, you'll have a few options. So they will either take 15 minutes or an hour. So it can be a low load or a high load, depending on what you want to do that week. Everything is hosted on a school platform, and you're in school, which is a really great system. So you're in school with all of the other high performers who are also going through this experience. And then you're getting very personalized feedback. So it's almost like you're getting a coaching session from me on the page when you turn in all of your reflective exercises. You'll also have lifetime access to all the call recordings. You'll have lifetime access to all the homework assignments. And there's bonus sections on salary negotiation that's helped people negotiate salaries to up to 100K. There's master classes there. There's guided meditations in there as well. And I also like to bring in master guest instructors. So I've brought in a professor who specializes in purpose. I've had somatic life coaches. I've had breathwork classes. We've got a hormonal health coach coming in to talk about how to optimize your hormones as a high performer. So I really try to bring in things that I think that the particular cohort really needs to help support them. Now, this is a 90-day timeline, and this is how you will transform over the next 90 days. So days 1 through 30 in the program, that's really focused on yourself. So again, that's focused on what are the parts of you that are holding you back. That could be your inner critic or procrastinator. How do we then create an ideal life map? So what does your ideal life look like? What's the roadmap? How do we start getting there? Then we define your top 5 values. Once we've done that, we go into purpose. So we need to understand what your values are to define your purpose. And then how do we design a career that reflects both your talents, values, but also interests? So we don't want careers that you're really good at, but you don't really like doing. We want a career that's reflective of your interests and reflective of your skills. Then days 61 to 90, it's really looking at relationships. So what are your non-negotiables, whether that be in your career? What are your non-negotiables with help? Who do you need to negotiate that with? So what boundaries do you need to set? And then how do you communicate that? And I use a method called nonviolent communication, which is really beautiful. And it's a communication method where everyone wins. Now, I understand that investing in yourself with something like this, it could be significant to you. And that's why I've created a guarantee for this program. So I am so confident in this. I have a really amazing NPS score that's kind of off the charts for a group program like this. And I have a guarantee. So if you don't make significant changes in your life satisfaction and your career satisfaction and your relationships, I'll give you a full refund. So to qualify for that, all I ask is that you attend all of the group coaching sessions live, that you complete all of your homework assignments, that you participate in the school platform, and that you're doing the homework assignments and the actions that I'm giving you, and you're coachable. So you're there, you're participating in the program, and you are open and honest throughout the whole process. And I've got a track record where I've helped clients leave toxic jobs, negotiate huge salary increases. I've helped clients launch businesses, start podcasts, design book outlines, do side hustles. A lot of people do come to this program when they're navigating big life transitions. So whether that is a career pivot or a breakup or a divorce, or I've even had clients that have had cancer, been diagnosed with an illness. So they're in a life transition. Maybe they want to move to a different country, or they have moved to a different country, but they're not really satisfied. They're in some sort of life transition and they really want clarity and direction. Then, I've helped clients recover completely from burnout, return to work feeling grounded, set boundaries in place so they don't repeat these habits that they've had all throughout their career. And then also, I really help clients to rebuild their confidence. That could be after work trauma, such as layoffs, redundancies, poor leadership, underperformance, and how do we get them back feeling highly confident in their career. And I've coached clients from all different tech companies, but also, lawyers, therapists, a lot of different types of people have gone through this program. So if this is appealing to you, if you're a high performer and you want to change your life, I want to know if you'll be the next transformation story. So just think, what would your life look like? Will you be one of my clients that I'm speaking about next, who I'm talking about how their life has completely changed? What would your career look like? What is the type of life that you want to build? And I really want to help you do that. So I hope to get on a call with you and to speak to you soon. And if you've got any questions, please DM me either on LinkedIn or on Instagram, and I will chat to you later.